Before we do get started, I just want to announce that I did just recently make a co-op channel in my Discord where people can actually group up to play Nightreign or any other Souls game. Like this way you can actually play with other people while being able to communicate via messages or voice, and also guarantee that you don't have rage quitters leaving every game. So if you are interested, I'll just leave the Discord link down in the description below. But yes, the topic of today is the Dormant Power Relic, or even just like the Dormant powers in general, as it pertains to the weapons you're more likely to find, which the Dormant Power Relics play such a vital part in this game's build creation, as certain weapon types are just going to be more preferable for certain playstyles, like fist weapons synergize nicely with critical attack builds, spears, curved swords, and claws pair amazingly with the successive attacks relic, and then things like larger weapons do pretty well with the initial standard attack relic. Before the addition of these Dormant relics, as well as like the stat changing relics, the characters felt very one-dimensional. There wasn't much room for nuance, as you're likely to find just the one weapon type, which typically is only going to do one thing pretty well. The Iron Eye, for instance, being likely to find bows makes him amazing for range, but he's going to be very inconsistent when building around him as a melee character. There are over 350 weapons in this game, and if you're already likely to find one weapon type, then the chances of finding another weapon that you want are incredibly low. Now, this is obviously by design. From Software designed characters to have them be played certain ways. Iron Eye is designed as a bow class, the Raider is designed as like this big bonking man, the Guardian is designed as a shield guard countering user. But the thing is that a lot of these characters in this game aren't actually best with the weapon types they're likely to find. This game still uses the Elden Ring formula of stats and weapon scalings. And that game is a full-blown RPG with bountiful build creation. Elden Ring has every single damaging stat and playstyle be extremely viable, and there's also many different types of builds that you can make with every stat. So inherently, the Nightreign characters are all going to be very versatile because they use the exact same stat system. Every single Nightfarer can have great synergy with all these types of weapons, skills, spell schools, and with that fact, it would just be a massive waste of build creation if 90% of the potential builds that you can make are just not consistent to build around. Like the Executor, for example, he has the highest dexterity scaling in the entire game, and there's lots of really good dexterity weapons out there. One of the more consistently high DPS weapons being the curved swords when power stanced. And the Executor will hardly be able to build around something like that without the Dormant Power Relics. Now, Nightreign is not an RPG like Elden Ring is, it's a roguelike game. There has to be that element of RNG to make every run feel different to the last, and this can actually make the runs feel more special. Like imagine if Dormant's Power Relics never existed, and using the example with the Executor, if you manage to find a couple of really good curved swords and find some good jumping attack buffs with the successive attacks relic, and you'll just be doing this insane damage, like those types of runs that are like 1 in 100 really stick out. So I can see why the Dormant powers weren't added to the original version of the game. Now, the reality of this game is that there's still going to be 1 in 100 runs. Most of your runs are actually going to play out very similar, and the reason being is that the game heavily incentivizes not building around RNG. Like in an RNG game, the best thing to do is build around the stuff that you can either guarantee or start off with. Like there is nothing better in this game than starting off with a great status effect, a good weapon skill or a spell, and just going all into that. Because all you have to do is just make your starting weapon purple, and then you already have a solid build. And these builds will honestly rival, if not outclass, the builds that have ridiculous RNG. So there's quite literally no reason to not have these Dormant relics in the game, to try and find other weapon types to make the game's build creation feel more fresh. Which is especially true when it does come to the stat-changing relics, which I'm kind of mixed on those because it does tend to blur the lines between the characters, and certain stat-changing relic combos could potentially just outclass other characters, but I still get it. Like some people just like to main a certain character because they like their skills or their dodge, and they want to be able to play that character many different ways instead of just playing multiple characters. But anyway, back on topic to the Dormant powers, I do consider them to be a necessity when it comes to the build creation. And I'm sure everybody knows exactly where this is going when they clicked on this video, and that they're still not reliable enough to beat out the guaranteed options. Like the weapons, skills, or spells that you start off with, or even just like building vaguely around many different things, is better than just building around a very specific thing and hoping that the Dormant Power Relic actually works. Because as it stands right now, you can go entire games without even seeing one weapon in your preferred category. And that is with the relic and without, like they both work the exact same way. Like some weapons in the game require very specific builds just for them to be good, like the Vari's Bouquet or the Ripple Blade, for example. And with these weapons being like one of many blue rarity weapons in their category, you're basically never going to be seeing them. There's so much great build potential just left on the table. Like the Dormant power system inherently is just a big giant mess. Now, I do have suggestions to make it more reliable, but first I want to discuss why isn't it already better? Why is it that I can play characters like the Duchess or the Executor and find like 2 ballistas and a great bow from killing a rooftop boss, and then killing a boss directly afterwards can drop a great shield and a colossal weapon? Like, I understand there has to be an RNG aspect to the game, but you've already designed ways to make starter builds be really good. So what's so bad about having better RNG? Especially because that most of the broken things that you can get in this game are actually the weapon passives and the powers. It's not necessarily the weapons themselves. You can get ridiculous damage and damage negation out of the weapon passives and the powers that you pick up that it can make almost any build broken. So there's already a lot of RNG involved to make a build good, that it doesn't need to gatekeep the weapons too. Now, the biggest downside that FromSoft could potentially see out of this is if it basically forces people to use the same builds. Like with better RNG, the Halo Scythe and the Shattering Crystal would be all but guaranteed. And the only thing that's really stopping these right now from being like completely overpowered is that they do require RNG. Like there's going to be some games where you just don't get them. But that problem right there has nothing to do with the dormant powers and has everything to do with the balancing of the game. Like if you balance the game and keep it fresh by nerfing things, buff things, then this is not going to be an issue. Like the only way Dormant's power relics become stale is if From Software lets it. Now, even if people do use Dormant power relics to fish for certain broken types of weapons to melt everything in the game, it's still not going to make other non-RNG builds be obsolete because it's still going to require RNG. And most of the weapons that people tend to fish for are purple rarity weapons, which 1 is going to require level 7, and 2 having you kill challenging types of bosses to where these items can drop. So in a lot of cases, your entire day 1 could be spent without even having the weapon that you wanted to build around, which in depth 5, especially in solo, can be a big problem for you. So in my opinion, the builds will always have some amount of balance, like between the non-RNG builds and the builds that do require RNG. Like, I think From Software just needs to have these drop more often, which there are plenty of different ways that you can buff these Dormant's power relics or like the Dormant powers in general. The main one I suggest is that every Dormant's power should guarantee at least 1 weapon that you're likely to find. Because every single Dormant's power or boss drop that gives a weapon always has 2 or 3 options. And the very top option should always just be the weapon type of what you're likely to find. And then you can just like randomize the other slots. Another solution could be the ability to re-roll the Dormant's powers. So if you don't like what you see, you can just click the re-roll button and it's got a whole brand new selection of weapons. Maybe just give you a free re-rolls per run at the beginning of the game, or have it be tied behind your level or how many bosses that you've killed. And another thing that I would like to see is having the weapons that you're likely to find also be extended to the random drops on the ground. And the reason why I say that is so we can actually take advantage of all the potentially great white rarity weapons out there. Like, I'd love to build around some of them, but because they're a white rarity weapon, they're not tied behind the dormant powers, so you're never really going to find them. So when it does come to those certain drops on the grounds that can spawn in white weapons, if they're likely to be of a certain weapon type that you want, that can just extend the build creation even further. Like, there's so many more builds that you could potentially make. So yeah, those will be all the suggestions that I would make to the dormant powers. But if you do want a quick summary of this video, basically, the game has RNG and non-RNG builds. And in its current state, the non-RNG builds are just better because they're not that much worse when it comes to strength, but they're just guaranteed to be good every single run. So the game doesn't really suit having all these amazing weapons with great potential just to be gate-kept by RNG when they're not even that much better. The RNG of the game should just be the seeds, which yes, can definitely be better, and the weapon passives and powers. Like, there's too much great build creation left on the table for the game to be like this. But yeah, that's basically my thoughts on like the Dormant's power situation. If you guys do have your own opinions, which I'm sure everybody does, I don't doubt that everybody has their own story to share about how terrible the Dormant power relic has been. But just let me know down in the comments below. And once again, please do join the Discord if you do want to get involved in some like co-op and playing with some other people in the community. Just in the past couple of days alone, we ended up getting over 600 members, which is crazy. So definitely do join, and definitely follow me on Twitch as well, because I'm live there every day doing a bunch of random runs and playing with viewers. And also subscribe here because there's lots more content coming out along the way. Anyway, catch you guys in the next. See yas.